We're probably all aware of the Wall Street cheat sheet, right? So don't get scared because I'm showing you this. I wanted to put it into context. So obviously this is the sign of a bubble pop, right? And the peak of a market, the overvaluation of a market, and then the impending collapse of that, whatever it is that you're trading. So this could be cryptocurrency as a whole. It could be a particular altcoin, or it could just be, Bitcoin and obviously the rest of the market. So when we look at this now, I mean, it doesn't really look like Bitcoin, and also when we look at Bitcoin, we don't have the same signal signs, I suppose, on the money flow index and the RSI that we have had in these three previous peaks. So bubble pop territory was here, here, and here, which is an interesting thing. Now, the reason I'm bringing this one up is, like, if you've been watching my channel for a while, we were talking about, look, anytime, you know me, anytime I see anything above 94 to 96 on the money flow index on a weekly, I just say, I always say leave it alone, all right? I just say, look, it's just leave it, just leave it alone, all right? So this was a clear bubble pop. This was a pretty clear, well, we'll call it a bubble pop. We'll just call them tops, all right? We'll call them tops. And this obviously was a relatively good indicator for the top of here, right, in January. Now, if you remember, I'm sure you do, because it's been a pretty good year from January. If the money flow index here that represents an absolute top for Bitcoin came in at this level, what then happened was that we did see money leave the asset. We did see Bitcoin come down to the tune of about 30% or something. It was roughly about 30%, maybe a little bit more from the bottom to from the top to the bottom, about 32%. But also we saw at that same moment, we saw money going into altcoins like absolutely no tomorrow, right? So normally when we would see this, we'd go, oh my god, get out of this asset. And it was true, it was the right time to get out of it. And there was also very clear signs on the money flow index to get in, not the money flow index, bloody hell. On Bitcoin dominance, very clear entry point to scale into altcoins. Historical reads would say this is very toppy for Bitcoin, and that proved to be a good call. Basically, let's get out of Bitcoin. Let's go into altcoins. Altcoins weren't anything like what they were today, 3 or 4 months ago. It almost feels like a lifetime ago, but a lot of these altcoins were absolutely wrecked. They were completely wrecked, right? It's a completely different story to what they are right now. They're parabolic, aren't they, really? They are parabolic. So, I mean, just go with me on this one. I'm not making any calls or predictions. And again, with my video today, it wasn't about, I'm still bearish, we're going to zero or anything like that. If you watch my video, that's not what it was. It was like until we reach and get above 60,000 and start to get the ball rolling again for Bitcoin, I'm prepared for further downside. That's all I was really saying. I mean, technically, I stand by that, and obviously, when you make videos about a bearish undertone to them, you just don't get the views. Do you know what I mean? No one watches, and I'm never really particularly bothered about views. I just find the whole thing interesting, and actually, you start to get nasty comments. Some geezer calling me an idiot, just for explaining, the fact that we were a lower low and a lower high. I mean. I mean, that is it. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, right? So until we change that, then technically it's still a downtrend to me, which is what it is. It's just those basic stuff. So what I'm saying is that if we merge the Wall Street cheat sheet, so you just got to bear with me on this one, all right? So just theory, so bear with me on this one. So we merge the Wall Street cheat sheet with the fact that we found a top here on the money flow index, top here on the money flow index, and a top here for Bitcoin, and then what happened was we had a giant rotation into altcoins over here, and then now what we could be looking at is a similar kind of, and it's going to involve I suppose you to try and visualize what this top is and why it could potentially be different, and look at it in the form of altcoins rather than Bitcoin, and then perhaps maybe if we think about merging the two together, then we could be looking at a top for this area in the market, right? So let me just try and boil that down so it's a bit simpler, I suppose, because I suppose I've not really explained it very well. So, in a nutshell, Bitcoin is able to give us and has given us tops in the past with the money flow index. Bang, 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 just like anything else would. 94 to 96 usually gets a top on the money flow index. So we got that, bang, 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 January top. Then flow of money out of Bitcoin into altcoins, as we see here. Massive amount of money leaving Bitcoin, going into altcoins, right? Making people rich, making people really rich, you know, doing some real difference to people's balances, all right? So massively undervalued altcoins here, literally wrecked, completely wrecked altcoins, overvalued altcoins at this level, ready for a potential pop. When you're ranging like this in a downtrend, specifically coming to this major area, this major zone down here, between, I suppose, 28, 29 and up to the top range here, which is essentially about 40, so pretty much the entire range that we played over here, where the actual pop should have been, really, given the weekly money flow index at the time. This is probably, in my opinion, still going to be the range that's going to be hashed out for a little bit longer. But, you know, for me, I'm not entirely shaken out, to be honest. And it's the same strategy that I'm employing here. I've got no more to put in at this level. Next levels are going to be definitely, well, actually, there is one which is 28,500. Basically, around about this kind of wick is around here. And that's my last area in this zone. And the bottom could be in already, we just don't know. We don't know that. But until we have more clear understanding of where the market is going, because we are on the edge of a cliff, you know, we are potentially almost getting ready to declare a bear market. You know, we are getting close to that. I mean, if we do continue to go down with Bitcoin, altcoins will be will get more wrecked. You know, if you've been around, you know, in 2020, sorry. There was a period where altcoins were being absolutely wrecked in a Bitcoin uptrend. You kind of are playing with fire, really, if you're still fixated on trying to, you know, go into altcoins expecting for things to work out for you. You're playing with fire. You know, you can make some good moves. Like I say, you know, if you're using Bitcoin to alternate into altcoins after a horrendous dump like what we've had today, or what we may have later on this evening or tomorrow. So just don't get greedy and think about altcoins in a different light. Yeah, they're not going to continue to go up generally like they have been for the last 3 or 4 months, which is, again, that's been a rare thing. There's an elephant in the room at the moment, which is the Dixie, basically the dollar index. And even though the dollar, you know, can go up and Bitcoin go up with it, I think Dixie's kind of looking like if it does break out from this level, it would be considered a breakout, and there'd be a bit of shock in the markets, you know. But, you know, like I said in that video and another one, you know, maybe last week some point, I do think, you know, contrary to popular belief, that the Dixie is actually going to go up in value, so the dollar will increase in value throughout next year. But, you know, it all depends. It all depends on what the Fed and this, that, and the other do. I kind of disagree with what people are saying, which is that, you know, this is going to break down from here. I still think that there is more upside and then be a shock in the market for everything. You know what I mean? That would be traditional markets, Bitcoin, crypto, everything. Second to that, obviously, you know, I don't know where you are, but in the UK we just had our first cases of the new virus. Oh my God! Oh no! So, seems like everybody's having a bit of a bit of a reaction to this one. Whether you believe it or not, it's happening, and we saw already. If we just go to the where are we? Not that. The Dixie. We can see that the Dixie is still in its uptrend, and it's actually broken out from the 95. It's gone up to more or less this last level of resistance that we popped in here
Must have been the last time we looked at it, or maybe it was just me. And we've kind of got a rejection from it. It's very aggressive, right? And this aggressive move here corresponds to the sell-off in stocks. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes black swan events happen, like this one. Way, and in the short term, it was absolutely horrendous. If anyone was caught in that, it was pretty nasty back then. That was the March dip, or a crash, we should call it. You can see what it did to the Dixie as people basically just cashed in. Basically, Dixie, we went all the way up to basically this level, very, very, very quick, and then its demise thereafter. We have had a strong dollar now for months, and we on this channel have been talking about the strong dollar, so it shouldn't really come as any surprise. It's not really impacted Bitcoin much, to be honest. In fact, it's like it's almost like it doesn't mean anything. However, what it is telling us now is that there is likely to be more dollar strength. I know what that sounds like, and this is what people criticized me, I suppose, when I was talking about all of this. I was saying, look, dollar looks good to me. It looks like it's going to be in a consistent and continuous uptrend. And everyone's like, but I was told by Max Kaiser that it would go down and only down. Says, well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that is probably the truth. When we have a look at the dollar on the monthly here, I mean, it's that's basically what it does: high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So yeah, in the very long term, it will do. I think when people take, what does he call it, the orange pill, and just they just become like religious fanatics. You've seen Max Kaiser. Fair play to him. He was all in Bitcoin years and years ago. So I mean, fair play to him. I think he's drunk on his own power now. And look, there's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. It's like what's his mate says. Michael Saylor. One thing that he said, which I always take away as something that's a very good phrase, which is the best time to buy Bitcoin is always 5 years ago. So basically, as Matt Damon told everybody to buy the top the other week, 5 years from now, that would have been the best time to buy Bitcoin. So that, over time, it's great, and it will always work out. I think it's a very forgiving asset, even if you buy the absolute top. Always 5 years in the past is the best time to buy Bitcoin. So fair play to anyone, even Matt Damon and all his newfound mates. So I mean, this is the S&P, right? This is the breakdown. This is the March collapse, right? As a result of the old Megatron, before anyone knew anything about it, and obviously this was horrendous. This was a big deal. So what I'm thinking is that we got a 35% retrace from there. Obviously Bitcoin and crypto pulled back to a large extent, but there were sort of cracks in the market, the little telltale signs. And this is what I was saying on the channel the other day with oil, for instance. Oil also showed us cracks before the big pullback. Where are we? Come on, I'm rushing in here. So before the big pullback, so we had little cracks in beginning to show, and then obviously oil was the major player in this downtrend. Now, I don't think that this Megatron is anywhere near as going to be devastating to the markets as what happened previously, but it would be silly to not expect a pullback, right? And obviously, we're already pulling back, and as far as this chart's concerned, for oil, for instance, good looking chart. It's a good looking chart. Could we pull back down to the 200, maybe a little wick below it, if there is some further shock in the market? Yeah, definitely. But I think that this would just be a dip worth buying. Now, the reason I'm looking at oil and the Dow Jones and things is because these are essentially like indicators for everything. So for those who think that, I know you guys don't, because you're all sort of obviously keen to learn, and you're not your average crypto trader. But for those who think that Bitcoin and crypto's detached from traditional markets, I mean, it's obviously not the case. It's very much tied in, and with all the ETFs, it's getting more tied in every day. So if anything pulls back, the market pulls back, traditional markets pull back, commodities pull back, Bitcoin will pull back. I mean, essentially most people view it as a commodity in the first place. So with this one case which has just appeared in the US in the last hour or so, expect some things to happen from whatever Biden and his mates want to do. Like I say, are they going to close down travel? It seems, to be honest with you, pointless at this stage. They've got it, we've got it, everybody's got it. Let's face it, everyone's going to have it. So it is basically a matter of riding it out. but the markets will probably respond to it. So I think we will pull back further in the markets, just as a bit of a panic, de-risking. Like I said on my video the other day, I de-risked my stocks. I sold up, because if there is a virus out there and it's spreading, and people want to close down cinemas, it makes sense that they would do that. So there is going to be an element of de-risking to start with, maybe shorting as well, but either way, the markets are responding to it, and now that there's one in America, it's going to respond even further, and crypto will probably respond also, although obviously crypto is not in any way threatened by any kind of disease. It's just obviously not. It's not impacted at all. The only difference is that it'll be impacted because it's seen as a store of value and people will draw upon that. So I mean, just to carry on this video, and then I'll turn it off and we'll carry on with the live stream. Bitcoin is still in a downtrend, right? It's not finished this downtrend. The downtrend is still in play. We're still in the buy zone, which is fine. We came down yesterday to retest this zone. I mean, I guess this is just a repeat of my video this morning, but the reason I'm referring to this chart right now, and after talking about what I've just spoken about, is that Bitcoin is technically vulnerable right now anyway. It's like somebody sort of balancing on the top stair, and they might fall down, they might gain their balance, and all they need is a little nudge, just a little, someone to blow in their face, and then they'll fall down the stairs. That's kind of how it feels right now for Bitcoin. And if it did, then we've got lower areas to mark off, and they're already marked off by moving averages. We've got our 200 exponential here, basically 50,000, and we spoke about this. There's a few reasons why 50,000 would be an area. We've got a line here of previous support bringing us to that kind of zone, and it's first of all, obviously, it's a psychological number, and there is a nice horizontal I won't bother drawing, but you can understand why that would be. It's 50,000. Like I say, we're one step up from a primate, and we learnt to count on our fingers, and we like round numbers. We just love them, and so 50,000 can be marked off. Now, obviously, if the markets pull back in a devastating way like they did in March, then yeah, you could get a wick, a nice good sell-off wick, to be honest with you, down to much lower areas into the mid to maybe even low 40s. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to tell you that that I'm not ruling it out, because black swans happen, and that's why they are called black swans. 40,000 seems relatively strong. Tops over here, supports over here. Look, if it breaks down, it breaks down. It's a buying opportunity. This is why you should always have Tether or Fiat, ready to go. This is why I've been saying for stocks and things like that, that every month I take profit every month. 10% of that goes into a trading account for stocks, commodities, shares, all of that. Doesn't mean that I buy them straight away. It means that I wait. And the best thing to do is to wait for a situation like what may occur over this next week, maybe over the next few weeks, and that would be the best buying opportunity you could probably ask for, because it doesn't reflect the technicals, doesn't reflect anything. It's just people selling off like mad. But if it does happen, it wouldn't reflect the overall technicals. I mean, it's just an opportunity to buy a significant dip. It doesn't mean buy the first dip you get. If we get it, you will know. You will know if we get a Megatron dip. So right, let's get started then, shall we?